What's up, guys? Squirrely here. I want to give you guys a video, an update on my Flay Bleed Lich, and you know how I leveled it. I'm gonna go over the planner. I'm gonna go over as well when I made the swap, because you don't want to swap into Flay too early. And you know, Rip Blood is good enough to do monos, even empowered monos like early on. Rip Blood is doing enough damage, so I just stuck with Rip Blood for a little while. I swapped it around level 83, but I'll explain that more later in the video. But yeah, I'm gonna go over the leveling and everything too, and then I'll show you a little bit of gameplay of leveling as well as playing as Rip Blood in the monos, as well as using Flay with with block and bleed and all that stuff, and killing harbingers and all that. Because right now I'm at 160 corruption ish. I'm just trying to get all my blessings, so I'm not really pushing corruption, but also trying to do the harbingers here and there too. But yeah, trying to get my blessings set up, trying to get my gear better. My gear is not terrible, but needs a lot of improvement for sure. So working on it. I am on MG, so MG is a little bit rough in a sense because you can't really buy much until you're like high rank. I'm rank 8 right now, almost rank 9, and rank 9 is like pretty big, so that'll really help, I think. But I'm also kind of wasted a lot of money. I'm new to MG and I made some stupid purchases, to be honest. So my gear progress is a little bit slow. Honestly, kind of wish I started COF. But we'll get into that maybe at the end. But either way, let's get into it. All right, so here's the planner. Link will be in the description, of course. But yeah, you start with Rip Blood. You get all the points in bleed chance, and you get bleed chance. You get the blood bonds. You get Carnage, and once you get Carnage, that's when you're going to be proccing Marrow Shards. So that's when you want to spec into Marrow Shards. You can see it's here second. Technically, it actually should be third. I'll fix that in the planner when I put it in the description, but because you'll be running Wandering Spirits before you can even proc Carnage and all that, because I would get these nodes first. So yeah, you're going to be running Wandering Spirits, and Wandering Spirits, you're going to do the same tree that I had in the original planner, so you'll get points in here, 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 and that's all the points that really matter. The rest of the points you just put like here, it doesn't really matter. But you're getting the poison chance basically on the right side here. So you get that in the second slot. That just helps you kill stuff early on, like super early. And then Marrow Shards will be where you put in your third spec. Marrow Shards just gives it some bleed chance from Marrow Shards here, and then gives it some health back via Rip Marrow and Lifeblood. And then the other points are kind of not that good. You should get this point, I guess, but it's just hit damage, so it's kind of doesn't really matter. All this stuff doesn't really matter. It's just all hit damage stuff. It's not bad. I mean, hit damage is more relevant earlier on than it is later. That's why like Armor Shred's not bad, just because we are doing physical damage, and this is hitting. Same with this. This is hitting decently hard early on. But it's mainly just to get another bleed proc, plus get some more hit damage on there. But yeah, these two together did pretty damn well. I was leveling quickly with it. I was doing monos with it. Like I said, you do early empowered monos just with this combo basically. Plus, of course, Reperform. But honestly, the biggest carry, I would say, even in late game, but like especially early on, is Aura of Decay. So you might actually want to swap Reperform for Aura of Decay. Just depends on if you can sustain Aura of Decay, because it is going to degen you unless you have Exsanguinous. Since Exsanguinous makes you immune to bleeds when you're low life. So you'd have to get also this point, these 5 points here, Equipped Form. But yeah, Exsanguinous is ideal to get early on, but you can actually get, there's this one, Shroud of Obscurity. I found this one myself early on, and you can use this. It's basically just a worse Exsanguinous, so this is fine if you find it. You can also put passive points into here, Crimson Gluttony. You just get 1 point into Stolen Vitality, and then put 5 points into here. And that'll get you enough life gain as ward to survive the bleed. So you can do that too. It's up to you. But it just depends on if you get the, I shouldn't say it's up to you. It depends on if you get the unique. But it's definitely worth running Aura of Decay. This pumps bleeds. Like when you get points into here, 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 and then of course these nodes as well. yeah, your bleed, passive bleed is insane. You know, and we don't have any mana concerns in this setup, so you just pump this as well. But yeah, you get like 100 bleed stacks by getting this, and some like bleed chance on your gear and stuff like that. So yeah, very good. Definitely going to be the main way to do damage, to be honest. So maybe, yeah, Aura Decay could even be before Reperform. I ended up specking Reperform first because I wasn't sure if Aura Decay would be usable early on, but definitely as long as you have War Generation, it's totally fine. Yeah. You can also actually use Absence of Life, and this might actually counteract the bleed, but you know, this point is going to apply a lot of bleeds, so I don't know, hard to say if you could survive this point. If you you don't actually have to take these points even to get good value out of it, so it's up to you. The tree hasn't changed much. You'll see in the planner, of course, but tree doesn't change that much. Points in here isn't very good. I don't think it's really worth it. I mean, you can put some points in there early, I guess, for the leech. I did do that, but I don't know. Like, it's spell damage, leeches health, so it's not dot damage, right? But it's still relevant early on. Like I said, the hit damage is spell damage technically, so it's not the worst thing. And you're not going to be low life until these points. So, you know, early on, you can maybe take points in here, or you can take points in here. You do need some kind of leech early on to sustain Reperform at the very least. Also, leech is just kind of useful early on, so it could be worth you getting some points in here. But yeah, look over the planner. Items changed a little bit too. I'm using just a regular dagger instead of Trader's Tongue, because Trader's Tongue is pretty rare to find anyways. Probably not going to get that in while leveling. But you know, just like a rare dagger with physical damage over time, chance to bleed is perfectly fine. This implicit is ideal because it also has chance to bleed in the implicit, but obviously it doesn't matter that much. You don't need to run a dagger either, right? Like, you don't need to run a dagger. You can just run an axe. I put a dagger here, but like, it's not required at all. You just run an axe instead. Doesn't really matter, because really the dagger part is going to matter when you get here. But I mean, it is what it is. You use what you have. You know, Taste of Blood would be great to get early on, and it's not that uncommon to get. But if you don't get it, just an axe, right? Axe with bleach and same thing, same mods as this. Thorn Slinger I never actually found a single time, which is kind of crazy. But you don't need it, obviously. In fact, probably health is better anyways, getting health in your belt versus using this. So, but this is still good early on. You could use it. And yeah, it pretty much covers the planner and the skill tree as a whole. For early, for like leveling, and this, like I said, is perfectly fine for monos as well. I would keep using this for monos, early monos, and then getting into empowered monoliths. You can keep using it until you get Eulogy of Blood, is kind of how I went about it. So I'll go over the end game, I guess you could say, tree that I'm going to be using. So here's like the new endgame planner that I'm planning to follow, which it's still subject to change realistically, but so a couple big changes. One, the gloves. I'll point that out because these gloves are just, not these gloves, but the gloves that I was intending to use are just not good, sadly, because a couple things. One, apparently this line is like bugged. At least I've been reading it's bugged, that this actually doesn't even work. Also, the limitation of 20 bleeds is rough. I mean, we're applying like 700 bleeds on an enemy, so 20 bleeds is like, who gives a shit? It doesn't actually do anything. And then the damage of Primordial Blood is also like just not good. You know, base physical is 30, so like it just doesn't matter, man. So yeah, these gloves are just not worth it for being a Primordial unique. You just lose so much. The only thing you're really getting is maybe this, and technically this, if it even worked, but it doesn't seem like it really works. So, you know, you don't want to be using this with no LP, that's for sure. So yeah, we're just not going to use the gloves. We're just going to be using, you know, some gloves with hybrid health, flat health. Ellie Res is good, obviously, as well. Int is good later on. Int isn't so good before you go into Flay, by the way. It's not bad, but like Int gets better once you have Flay, since we proc Flay, or we proc Rip Blood based on Int, and a lot of other things that scale with Int. But you do physical damage or damage over time too. I chose to go with mana as an affix because it got me to 400, and that's a pretty big breakpoint, so I think it's worth it. But that's why I chose that mod. I don't think it's necessarily the best mod to have at all times. It's really just dependent on if you can get to 100 mana breakpoints, so you can get another Chaos Bolt proccing, which adds a lot more bleed, right? And this is the best implicit, I would say, because it gives us mana and mana regen. So really, really good. You really do need mana regen. And that's the biggest reason why I don't run Flay early on, is that the mana it requires is very intensive, right? Because it's a much more expensive than Rip Blood. It's 13 mana per cast minimum, because Deadly Plot did not get nerfed as I was thinking it would, which is funnily enough a nerf to us, really. So yeah, you have to put 3 points in, so plus 6 mana cost from that. So even with -3 here, yeah, 13 mana each cast. Plus, of course, it's Chaos Bolts should be net neutral, but sometimes they might not hit curse enemies, right? I can sustain it with 3 mana regen affixes. So right now I have mana regen on my rings. One's a tier 5, one's a tier 6. And then I have a tier 5 mana regen on my belt. That's enough for the most part. I mean, you do sometimes run out of mana if you're like holding right click for a minute or something. That's a pretty rare occasion, so it's fine for now. But I think, yeah, with 2 tier 7 mana regen on the rings, plus the correct implicits on the gloves and the helmet, should be good for mana. Especially not when we're not running Armory of Skin. So that's another big change. I decided to use Blood of the Exile instead of Armory of Skin, because Armory of Skin is another 2 mana per attack for Rip Blood, and all the other mods are pretty much useless on it. So what's the point, right? So Blood of the Exile gives you a ton of bleed duration, very, very good. Gives you ints, and gives you that more physical damage to moving enemies, which enemies aren't moving all the time, but still, when they are moving, it's a nice big chunk of damage. And then Eulogy of Blood is going to be the way that we proc Rip Blood on, more often, I guess, rather than not having it on the boots. And Eulogy of Blood is pretty good. It got has some good mods, right? Apply to bleed, melee hit, and then bleed duration. So pretty good. Main thing is the bleed duration, really. Yeah. And then I still want to use Brewmaster's Buckle, but before you can get Brewmasters, you can just get hybrid HP and that mana, especially. So mana regen, I should say. Definitely try to get mana regen early on before you go Flay. Like I said, around 3 affixes, one of them maybe tier 6, and then you should be able to sustain it. And then Valor Chalice, still going to use Valor Chalice. I did change the LP Slam on the boots, because I think health is better than movement speed, because we just need to be tanky. And movement speed is kind of like a luxury. I don't think it's really something that you want to slam unless your build is just Giga OP, which our build is not Giga OP. I was a little bit overconfident. Yeah, you want health. You don't want to die. And yeah, nothing really else for. I mean, Trader's Tongue is the same. Amulet, I do have increased fizz slammed here. I don't know, maybe health is better. Actually, right now I have health on my amulet instead of increased fizz. Just because, again, I was struggling with health. But I think later on, you can start prioring damage versus health. I don't know. We'll have to see. And then I'm thinking a tier 8 affix will be what we go with. So I'm going with increased bleed duration on the helmet as my tier 8 affix. I don't know if that's what I'm going to do. I haven't had a tier 8 affix on my build yet. So, I haven't gotten a piece of item that would be worth making it tier 8 as of yet. But hopefully I will be able to soon. One thing I'm doing as well is I'm actually using Rip Blood as kind of a damage boost on single target. And so that means I'm keeping it on my heart bar. You can see here I'm having Rip Blood in here. So basically Rip Blood, you can just, you get this Blood Bond node that does more damage over time based on the amount of stacks of bleed that they have. And we can get up to, 650, 700 stacks of bleeding on a single enemy at a time, so definitely worth speccing into this and getting a nice little damage boost. You just use it on occasion, Rip Blood. You don't have to use it much. Just, once every so often. Get the Blood Tether procced on the enemy and do a nice big boost of damage, so definitely think it's worth using. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. And I guess final thoughts. I would say, you know, it's not bad. Flay is a very melee skill. You know, you have to go right into their face to do damage, which, you know, as we all know in ARPGs, if you played ARPGs, being super melee is dangerous. You know, it's you're at the mercy of the enemy in terms of and the effects that the enemy produces. Right, they're almost always hitting in front of them or around them or whatever. So you have to be in front of them and around them to do damage. No, you don't have to be in front of them, but you have to be around them with Flay. You're just at risk of dying more than another build would be. So you really want to get tanky. You really want to get as much HP as you can. Endurance, armor is gonna be big. You know, I didn't prior enough armor. Probably trying to get more armor from the tree and other sources. But it's kind of hard, honestly. But yeah, you know, early games damage and survivability was good, but definitely when I'm hitting higher corruption, which is I'm not even high corruption, like 160, 170 corruption, definitely feeling a bit of a not a wall, but you know, feeling like I need better gear. And you know, it's definitely not an OP build. I guess the point of that, right? Because there are OP builds where it doesn't matter how much gear you have, like you're just one-shotting anything and everything. Definitely not doing that here. So keep that in mind. But you know, with time and with some effort, getting your gear better, getting some grinding in, no doubt, I think the build can do pretty well. As for me and this league, I'm gonna keep playing, of course. I'm not just like done after 2 days. But I'm not really liking the league mechanic that much, personally. I think, you know, it's just another monster to kill, and it's not too interesting. It doesn't feel very much different from last season, and I don't really like MG either. I started it as Merchant Guild this time because I wanted to try it. I've never tried it, and you just get so much less loot. You know, obviously you can buy your loot, which is I guess kind of nice, but everything is very expensive, and selling stuff's still a pain in the ass, to be honest. Because you have to pick things up that are good to sell, and that's also feels like a waste of time. I mean, you want to have a filter tailored to your build, not to like I don't know how to tailor my filter to what's expensive right now. I'm not going to bother trying to figure that out either. So, you know, MG not as big of a fan as I mean, I knew I wouldn't like it that much, but I wanted to try it. You know, and yeah, kind of realizing more and more that yeah, I'd rather be just COF. The problem is swapping sucks because half my gear requires being Merchant Guild. So if I swap, I'm like back to I don't even know, man. Like, what do? I'm like screwed. So a little unfortunate, but my plan is at least to get to Aberoth and try to kill Aberoth. Probably not going to do Uber Aberoth. You know, Uber Aberoth takes so much grinding to even accomplish. You know, you're going to have like 3-4 LP uniques sometimes. I don't even know if the build can do it realistically. You know, I don't know if it's that strong. But you know, hopefully maybe one of you guys can push it to that point if you guys you know are enjoying it. I don't know, but yeah, not sure it can actually do Uber Aberoth for sure. Going to be a question mark there. I'm pretty sure we can get it to Aberoth at least. You know, more HP, some more damage on our gear here and there, better idols, and should be fine. But yeah, that's it for me. Planners will be in the description, like I said. If you guys have any questions, join the Discord. Can answer any questions and help you guys out. I'll be streaming tomorrow. I've been streaming, you know, past few days. I'll be doing some more tomorrow, trying to get some more health, some more damage, and kill some more Harbingers. 2 down. What is there, like 6 or something? I can't remember. So making some progress, but anyways, that's it for me. Peace, guys.